Reggae.Si is the reggae media page. Get on it.
Welcome and greetings to all our followers of and listeners of Rhythm Operator Radio Show on Radio Student, and of course all our followers of Reggae.Si reggae media page. We are blessed and also excited today because today with us is a legend, a producer, a multi-instrumentalist, and a true heavyweight in reggae dub industry, Mr. Dennis Bovell. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. I hope you are okay. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, and I hope you are too. Thank you for wanting to speak to me.
Yeah, of course. We are very, very blessed that you took the time to talk to us. Let's start a little bit with your beginnings. When you were young, your parents left abroad to work, and you stayed in Barbados with your grandmother. At the age of 12, you followed your parents, and I read somewhere that you were scared and basically had regrets towards moving to UK. How do you recall those days, the move to UK, and for the first time seeing fish and chips served in a newspaper?
Yeah, well, it was a bit of a shock that, well, I had friends who had already gone to the UK, and they wrote to say, be careful, it's going to be cold. And I had no concept of how cold it would be. And one friend wrote, well, just get inside your refrigerator and shut the door, then you will know it's much colder than that, you know.
Your father once said to you that you should find a decent job because if you make music, you'll never eat a decent meal in a decent restaurant.
Yes, he was wrong.
He was wrong, yes. But why do you think he thought that about music, and what was that demoting or motivational for you?
Well, it was motivational for me because a lot of people, my parents' generation, never saw music as an occupation. They never saw what was going to become of people who played music and had the right backing and had the right legal representatives and all that. All they ever thought about was that, yeah, you go in the music business, you're going to get ripped off. You know, that was their thought, because they had so many stories of especially Black musicians who had not been given their due. And they thought I was just going to be the next in line, because it was like, okay, the Beatles are famous and the Rolling Stones are famous, but there ain't no Black groups that are famous.
Yeah.
And then came Eddie Grant with the Equals.
Yeah.
And Booker T with Booker T and the MGs, and Otis Redding and Wilson Pickett and Sam Cooke and all those people, you know. So I believed, hey, it is possible. And then came Desmond Dekker and the Pioneers and Toots and the Maytals. And of course, Bob Marley came, you know. So I was more than ever convinced that music is an occupation. You have to work hard at it to get some results. You don't just jump in the water and swim. You have to learn to swim, especially in the deep end.
Yes, and you have to be patient as well.
Absolutely.
You were patient. Your music path is now more than 50 years old. You started with Roadworks Ahead, then formed Stonehenge. You played basically all types of music like blues and rock. But when and what was the reason you decided to focus more on reggae, dub, and forming Matumbi band?
I had a friend by the name of George Pennant. He's now no longer with us, but he once teased me to say that there's only one Jimi Hendrix, and it's not you. So what's all this, you know, trying to play guitar like Jimi Hendrix? He said, if I were you, I would try to play reggae, because not a lot of people know how it's played, how it's put together. And it's somewhat of a phenomenon right now. And if you want to be in the forefront of people who made reggae in the UK, you have to start now. So I thought, yeah, great, because Desmond Dekker, they were all from Jamaica. Ken Booth, John Holt, all from Jamaica. And there really wasn't an English band that played reggae that became famous for playing reggae. So I took the challenge to make a reggae band that made reggae in the UK and not really attempt to make it sound exactly like the Jamaican counterpart, but to make reggae of our own style, you know, and we call that Lovers Rock.
Yes, and you did it perfectly. I know you also run your own sound system called Sufferers Hi-Fi. Because of it, you also had a trouble with police. You went to prison.
Wrongfully, they told lies on me.
Yeah.
They told lies, but anyway, I had my appeal, and I won my appeal, and they were obliged to let me go.
Yes, because the police officer I know was corrupted.
That's right.
Like many of them still today.
Hello, I'm sorry, but you know that's sadly the case.
True. How do you recall? I mean, how do you look upon sound system culture after 50 years? What would you say is the biggest difference from then and now?
Well, the big difference between then and now is that then there were more sound systems. Now there are so few in the UK, but there are more sound systems in places like France and Italy and maybe even Slovenia.
Yeah, we have our own sound systems and crews. We love the sound system culture here. It grows from the every day, and of course we love pioneers like you. I mean, UK.
I've been to Slovenia.
Yeah, thank you very much. I read somewhere, I don't know if it's true, you will tell me, that Bob Marley tested one of his songs on your sound system. Is that true?
Many of his songs. In fact, while he was recording the album Exodus, the recording studio was across the road from where my sound played every Friday night as a resident sound system in a club called the Metro in Ladbroke Grove in London. And I think that Family Man, the bass player, was very interested to test the music they were making on the people. And so they cut me some dub plates, and then a couple of Friday nights, Bob came in to listen to my sound system. I wasn't allowed to say that he was there because he didn't want to be bothered with people, but he was there listening, you know, maybe incognito, and listening to his new cuts like Exodus and all those tunes. The whole Exodus album, I had preview dub plates that I would play in the dance, and he would be able to, because the club was on 2 floors. Upstairs was like the lounge, you know, and then downstairs was the dance hall. So he would sit upstairs and gaze over into the dance hall to see how the people were enjoying what he was making. And I think it inspired him some.
Wow. Wow. I mean, how did that make you feel? I mean, Bob Marley was testing his songs on your sound system. That must feel great.
Oh, I felt like the champion. I was like, yeah, you heard it here first.
Nice. I know going to prison was one of the main reasons you stopped DJing. And then you focused more on live music playing. In 1973, your band opened the show before the Wailers. And the media back then said you were better than them. The Wailers were some, I mean, are still today heroes to all music lovers, reggae music lovers. And also they were heroes to you. How did that feel as a young artist to surpass your own heroes?
Well, it didn't feel good because that was the last thing we wanted to hear. We weren't there to compete with the Wailers. We were there to support them. And also the gig was not a sound clash. It was a famine relief for famine in Ethiopia. There was no time to compare who was best and who was not best. It was about where our hearts were and why we were there and what the significance of the concert, you know. But for someone to say, hey, Matumbi sounded better than the Wailers, I think that was harsh.
Going forward in your career, you played with many legends, like we mentioned, Kent Booth, Pat Kelly, Iroy. You worked with Steel Pulse, Lee Scratch Perry, Alpha Blondie, Fela Kuti, and the list goes on and on. You know reggae, and reggae knows you. That's for sure. What would you say is the most influential thing about it? What values has reggae music given you, and how do you see reggae developing over so many years?
Reggae taught me how to be on time with the rhythm when you play, how to synchronize, right? How that if one instrument alone stands, you still feel the rhythm. You know, it's that tightly knit that you feel all the parts. Even if you just hear the bass line, you can feel the groove, or just the drums. That's what gives great power to dub mixing, because you can drop in or out any instrument and the feeling is still there.
You are a performer, a producer, a writer. You remix songs, also for films and TV. What areas of music making would you say fulfills your soul the most? Is it releasing new songs or just jamming when you feel when you're in the mood?
It depends on the mood I'm in. Sometimes I'm in the mood to create and I feel great. Another time I'm in the mood to recreate and I feel good. It depends on, you know, the vibe of the moment. There are many good vibes to be had from creating music. You know, sometimes even listening to music is a good vibe, you know, or listening to other people's music is a good vibe. So for me, music in its totality is a good place to be. Whether I'm creating, whether I'm listening, whether I'm mixing, you know, or whether I'm just jamming with other musicians, that can be fun too.
Sweet. Now let's talk about a little bit about March 25th, your upcoming release on Trojan Records called the DUBAMSTER, the Essential Anthology. We, of course, are excited about it. How do you
Me
feel?
too.
How do you feel about the release and going back to Trojan after 50 years? Because in 1973, I know with Matumbi, you were released on that label.
That label. Well, the thing was that at BMG, they called up and said, we want to do a deal with you. And I was like, yeah, because I really like BMG. They've been, for me, one of the fairest record companies I ever worked with. And then they had an idea that they wanted to sign my back catalog, and I was quite excited. And then when they said, we've just bought Trojan Records and we're revamping Trojan Records and we want to put you on the Trojan record label, I had no objection, because when BMG bought Vogue in Paris, the first album on the Vogue label was one of my productions, and it was called King Cool. With Winston Francis, George Decker, Marie Pierre, Roland G, and people like that, you know. And so when I thought, well, if BMG is taking care of Trojan, it's going to be well taken care of. So I had no objection to joining the clan.
Of course, yeah. Working again with Trojan, you had the opportunity to go back and listen to every old tracks you did with them. Did you discover some tracks that you totally forgot about? How did it feel listening to them?
No, there's still some that they haven't found yet that I know that are there. And I wait for them to find them because there's such a wealth of material. I mean, Trojan that's why we went to Trojan in 1973, because if you were a reggae band and you needed a reggae record label, and Trojan was the reggae record label. I mean, they had chart success with Ken Boothe, going right back, Pat Kelly, Lee Perry, the Upsetters. All the major hits in reggae had been fielded by Trojan Records. So it seemed to be the home of reggae hits. So we wanted to join those people. I mean, all the people that we were fans of were releasing their material on Trojan. So we went to look for Trojan, to say, hey, we're Matumbi, sign us. And they did, and put out our first record in 1973.
Yes, and of course the rest is history.
By now.
And let's go to the new release that's coming up on March. It's called the DUBAMSTER. Tell us a little bit about. I think it's going to be a pack of your life's work, if I understand.
Yes.
It right.
In fact, on the album, there is the song called Come With Me, which when Nick Straker and I wrote that song, we wanted to record it immediately. So we went to a telephone book called the Yellow Pages to look for a studio to record that song. And we found a studio. The studio was called Gooseberry, and it's in the middle of Chinatown in London. And we lived quite close to Chinatown. It was just one bus ride. And we found the studio, and they, were able to accommodate us there and then because we wanted to record that song now. We just wrote it. It was freshly written. We wanted to freshly record it. And Nick and I were members of Matumbi, but we didn't necessarily know whether the rest of the band would like it. So we thought about going to record it to play it to the rest of the band, so they could hear all the parts. We arrived at the studio and the engineer said, so where's the band? And we said, we are the band. And I played drums and he played all the keyboards, and I played bass and guitar, then I did all the vocals. And also, quite importantly, there was a Moog synthesizer in the studio, and we used it on that track. And that same synthesizer, I used it again with Louis Amart on Caught You in a Lie. And, many other things. That studio, I became a sound engineer working in that studio and mixing a lot of reggae bands, doing work with a lot of reggae bands that were in London at the time. And working with Linton Kwesi Johnson and creating silly games for Janet Kay. Also, 15, 16, 17, Black Skin Boy. We also created in that studio Gonna Get Along Without You Now, which is a soul song with Viola Wills.
Yeah, a lovely song. Let me ask you this. You have so much history behind you. The DUBAMSTER will feature 2 CDs, 2 double vinyl, I think it will be.
Yes.
How, in your history, in your long list of songs and music, how did you decide what to put on it and what to left out?
I didn't decide. I gave Trojan all the material, right? And then Lawrence Honeysett, who's the boss there, and his assistant, Keisha St. Paul, they chose what songs they wanted because it was impossible for me to choose which song because they're all like my children, Supposing someone comes to your house and say, okay, you have 20 children, we're going to take 10 of them. Which 10 will you take? I'm like, maybe this one, no, maybe that one. Then I thought, you know what? they're all too close to me. I'm all too close to them. Perhaps if somebody from the outside, makes the choice, I can appreciate that because they're all my songs. And that's what I did. And they made the selection, and there's more to come.
Yeah, because I know for sure it could easily be 3 or 4 CD release. I mean, to put your music live on 2 CDs is basically impossible.
It's pretty hard, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you could describe Trojan Records and its impact on you and on reggae music to someone who never heard about the label, what would you say?
Well, Trojan, the Trojan label, are the pioneers of expounding reggae since the 60s to Europe, exporting. I mean, in 1968, for instance, I went as a schoolboy to Italy on a journey with my school. And in the jukebox there, right alongside Led Zeppelin and Lucio Battisti and all those, was Desmond Dekker, Israelites, and Jimmy Cliff, and the Pioneers in the jukebox. So I knew that this infectious beat that we call reggae was soon to spread like a virus all over the world.
On the DUBAMSTER, we will be able to hear also some of your live performances, if I'm correct.
Yes. I did some live performances in Sweden. I did a live album in Sweden with my group, the Dub Band. And there are some tracks from that that will be featured on the DUBAMSTER.
Yeah. So basically, to all our listeners, wait for March 25 because it's gonna be hot. It's gonna be fire, and I know personally I cannot wait for the release.
Thank you.
You are going on tour across the UK soon.
Yes, I'm obliged to because people are asking me, why don't you come and play? And I'm thinking, okay, I got a new record out. I got something to say.
The pandemic situation cut down stage performances for a long time. After all these years for you, do you still feel any nervousness going on stage, or is stage just like home?
Stage is home, I can't wait to get on stage because I want to show people what I have done and what I can do. And when the pandemic hit, I resigned myself to the studio doing remixes for people like Jarvis Cocker, then also Spoon from the US, from Austin, Texas. And then I did some Arcade Fire. And I did a new remix of the pop group Y album, which was an album that I produced with them in 76 or 77. And we revisited that album with an idea of mixing it all in dub. Then came Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead, who said, listen, we're doing a new group, Johnny Greenwood, Tom York, and Tom Skinner. Tom Skinner is from another group that's called Sons of Kemet. And they're very brave experimentalists in jazz and future music. So they formed a new group. There's no more Radiohead. And this group is called The Smile. And they recorded a song called The Smoke, which was released last Thursday. And when they had recorded it, they were quite excited and sent me a message to saying, we've just made this new tune. We want you to do a remix. And I was like, okay. But before I could say, okay, they sent me the stems. I was like, you will do this, And me having been very fond of Radiohead productions, I thought, wow, I'm working with the Radiohead boys. Let's get ahead with that. And they were very happy with what came out. and they released it ahead of schedule last Thursday. And the tune is called The Smoke. And anyone who's a Radiohead fan can go and check that out right now. It's buzzing.
You also just released "Caught You in a Lie" from that.
Yes,
that will be featured on the album, the dub.
Yes. Well, once my daughter had become interested in recording, I installed a recording studio in my kitchen at home for the purposes of allowing her to, feel free to do whatever she wanted. And one day I thought, hey, let me do a version of this song just to kind of show her what to do when we're recording. And when I finished it, I used the song mainly to do live performances. And when Trojan heard it, they said, has that ever been released? I said, no. They said, well, it's going to be now. And I'm very happy that they liked it.
Yeah, it's a really great song. And to all our listeners,
different style.
Yeah, to all our listeners, go check out the song, because you won't be disappointed, of course.
Check the video.
Like we said, your music path is very long. Your music achievements are huge. Worked with all kinds of legends. You opened for, just Don't Look Back tour with Peter Tosh and Mick Jagger.
Yeah,
this was huge, of course. What would you say you are the most proud of in your long career? What is the biggest achievement for you?
I don't know. I'm most proud of everything I've done. But for me, the song that has lasted 40 years and people are still recognizing it right now has to be Silly Games.
Of course. In 2015, you visited Slovenia. You were here in Ljubljana. You did a show on Druga Godba Festival. Do you remember anything about us, and how did you feel here?
Oh, I felt most welcome. I felt like I wanted to go and live there. The streets are clean. The people are nice. The food is great. I don't know. Outside of UK, that's one place I would consider to be applying to come and stay for some time.
Thank you very much. We are really, really humbled for that, and of course, you are welcome here anytime.
Thank you.
I will tell you a story I remember from your show. Between two songs, I know you said something about the Pope. There was some story, and a guy from the crowd shouted, "Fuck the Pope!" And you instantly, like a lightning, replied, "You do it, I won't." That is what I remember from that. So I know it was a lovely time, and of course, I really hope we can see you here one day.
The song about the Pope was a song called "Fall Babylon" that I recorded in Italy, in Ferrara. And when we finished recording the song, I was working with some friends from Livorno, a group called Roots United. And we recorded this song. I wrote the song and they played. And when we finished, the studio, the officiator, he said, "We should do a video." I said, "Yeah, we should do a video now." Right? And I'm like, "Okay, we'll do the video now, but where?" So we drove around the streets looking for a location. And I found a mural on a wall with the Pope crying, and his tears were black. And I thought, this is a good position to have as the backdrop for my video, because I'm singing, "Babylon must fall, fall Babylon. Righteous is the writing on the wall. Babylon must fall," right? And we did the video, and we put it up on YouTube. And when we put it up on YouTube, a few days later, the Pope resigned.
Wow.
And a lot of people called me and said, "Hey, maybe he saw your video.
You did that.
And decided to get the hell out of there. Because,
Wow.
I mean, the Pope hadn't resigned for a long time. The popes don't resign. They die in the job, right?
Yeah. Wow.
But this guy saw the light and he was like, this ain't for me. I ain't the Pope no more. So I didn't take any credit, but maybe he saw the light.
Let me ask you this. If you could go back in time and give yourself an advice, your young self an advice, what would that be?
Get yourself a lawyer before you dance with record companies.
Okay, that's a strong advice. And
Man.
I kind of know why.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. You were also in 2021. You were admitted of like a member of the Order of the British Empire.
Yes.
What does that mean to you? And should we address you now as sir? Sir?
No, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm always will be Dennis Bovell. But I'm happy that there came some recognition from those circles for my work in the music business, because I was awarded that for services to the music business. And I'm, quite happy that someone else with power has seen what I do and decided to award me for that. Also in 2020, I got an award from the Prime Minister of Barbados, and that award is the Pride of Barbados.
Wow. Of course, I mean,
it meant a lot.
Credit where credit is due, right?
Thank you.
So, well, I think our time is a little bit running out. I really thank you for this conversation. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us. We can't wait to hear and see the release of the DUBAMSTER Essential Anthology, March 25th. I really hope we can see you on tour someday again in Slovenia.
Yeah. I'm ready for that.
You.
And I want to say hello to all my friends at Glitter Beats.
Yeah. Of course, much love to you, much blessings. And thank you for all the sweet music that you give us, because without music, our lives would be empty, that's for sure.
Mine too. Thank you for your appreciation.
Thank you very much. Like I said to all our listeners, wait for March 25th, wait for the release of the DUBAMSTER. And of course,
let's have a big party.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you for the time.
Thank you.